Okay, so here is the big dog. This is POCO process new, and starting entries. If you move it, if you create it, if you paste it into here, and it kicks off. This is an additional starting rule that you can drag and drop in a bunch of files into the doc import folder. Make sure there's no template assigned to it, and then go to Eden integration and attach from Laserfiche, and it'll import multiple files simultaneously. And that's enough of an overview for that. Let's take a brief overview, and then I will get into the details. Whenever a PO or CO is added, the Eden data is pulled from the template and it is moved to a specific folder in the fiscal year folder, and a note is created every time. So pulls, retrieves some data, link ID is critical, description, PO number, trims out the CO doc number, trims out spaces, yep, and the link ID, trims out PO doc number, and then runs a bunch of queries on this table. On that table, these are the two purchasing tables, CO data. This is project number data. I'm not sure why that is significant. In fact, that may be able to be removed. And then account number data, which all three branches use. So here are the two POs, and then here is the CO, and this runs through signs, metadata, department, vendor, scripts out of fiscal year, moves it. That's the same for all three. Invokes the note, invokes the bond processing, moves it to the purchasing, and then that is it. Okay, so now I'm going to move to the some details here. Let's go back and look at these one more time. Now these are all the same pretty much. We'll look at the change in just a second. It needs to be in the doc import folder. It needs to be this template. The link ID cannot be empty, and it needs to be document, and it is not a requisition. It's not from the requisition table. And it can only be made by the purchasing users 1. Alright, and that's the same for all three. Now let's look at this one. This is upon entry changed. It has to be part of this group. Has to be there. Has to be entry changes include template assigned. So that's why it's critical when they're imported in initially. There's no template assigned. The rest of it is the same. No, it's not requisition. It has to be purchasing. Link ID is not empty. Okay, so let's dig into this. No import or output parameters. Name. Not sure what the name is for. I don't know why that's being used. Probably. No, I'm not sure what the name is being used for. At any rate, these are used in these queries. So that's just link ID. Trim out PO doc number. Trim out PO doc number. And that's used for this type of PO. I believe this is the older one because it's using the doc number instead of this one, which uses the content management attach key. So here's the two different PO datas. Now notice they're both for the same table. It's just they search on a different criteria. Now this helps create the test for whether it's a CO or not. So this does pattern matching trim CO doc number, and here's what that does. Pattern match trim CO doc number. You know, it just trims out the doc number, but they're a different kind than the regular purchasing ones. So if what's retrieved here matches here, then it goes down this branch. Project numbers again, I'm going to look at that. I don't believe we need that right now. And here's my account numbers because all 3 branches need the account numbers. So first type of PO, it triggers off the content management if that's true. And I'll go into detail here on the first one. The other 3 are almost identical. Pulls vendor information because that's not in the purchasing table. Pulls department information. Cleans up or formats the original PO date. And then assigns all this stuff. Department, original PO, total amount, PO type. PO type, what is that? And PO doc type. Alright, so this is, yeah, okay. Alright, so the PO type is, I think, like blanket or not blanket. Alright, so this is going to be triggering off of the account number query. And for every row that's retrieved, it cleans it up, says only numbers and periods. No spaces, thank you very much, and then drops that in here. This is a script which creates fiscal year, and just a quick look here. I create some dimensions, date value, which I pull in, original PO date, trimmed, and fiscal year, which is empty at this point, month, which is empty at this point. And if the month is less than 10, then the fiscal year equals the year. And if it doesn't, then it's year plus 1. And here's a really useful thing for later. Future use, set token, fiscal year. So this creates a token that can be used later. In the message box, I'm not sure if that's needed. I'm going to leave it since it's not messing anything up. Now the try catch is used, if this fails, then this runs. Now I forget exactly why I started using this, but so far it's working beautifully. So this moves, and let's take a look at the token dialog box. Fiscal year, here's that token, which is triggered by the script. And so I clean it up here into the last 2 digits, and I use the description, which is pulled, and PO number, which is also retrieved. And so it creates this path to put it into, and if it can't for whatever reason, then it says, you're denied. And lastly, the path that it's moved to, move PO entry into, which is this, output entry path. So if it runs, it modifies this token for future use. Alright, so the other PO is almost the same. Vendor, department name, cleans up the original purchasing date, assigns all this stuff, account numbers, fiscal year, try catch, moves it or denies it, and then updates the move to token. Now the CO, I guess let's look at these. So this one's off the content management attach key. This one is off of what's trimmed out, the PO doc number, which is trimmed. And the CO has 2 criteria. It says it doesn't look like the link IDs for the purchase orders, and this matches. The trimmed out number from the POCO doc number equals the trimmed out number equals what the data is in the query. So then, since we've determined it's a CO, we pull PO data. This may be redundant actually. I might be able to use the other one, but for some reason I've been down this road. I'm just going to leave it for now. Vendor number, department number, cleans up original PO date, assigns all this stuff. Now CO account number, and assigns CO account number into there, scripts. If it can't move it, then deny it, updates, modifies the token. So then invoke a note, then I invoke the bond process, and I migrate it if necessary, and that's about it for this one. Kind of a beast, but also not too complex.